Business can be a lonely game, but it doesn't have to be. Welcome to Boutique Chat, where we explore community over competition and how to scale your company with the balance and the happiness that we all seek. We'll hear from product-based businesses of all types, retailers, e-commerce, and wholesale brands, along with industry experts shaping the future of our industry. I'm your host, Ashley Alderson from the Boutique Hub, and I can't wait to chat. Hey guys, welcome back to the podcast this week. Haley, thanks for being here.
I am so excited to chat. I love having someone else who loves to talk about things. So let's just go. Let's go for this.
We're going to run wild on this. And I just have to call attention to this fun fact. By the time we air this, you are going to have an amazing, beautiful third child in your arms, but it's currently in your belly right now. Do you know what you're having?
We're having a little girl. And I feel like I should have told you before. I'm like, I hope Ashley doesn't have to cut out my heavy breathing, because I have entered that state in pregnancy. Like guys, if I go into labor right now, like I'm going to recommend everybody they just guest star on this podcast to help them out. So yeah, here we go.
Let's see if we can send you into
Yes, please.
I think we should talk about this for a second. What is the difference, you think, between first child versus going into having your third? How do you look at life and parenting differently?
Oh my goodness. Well, I think there is the disclaimer that I gave birth with my first child in 2020. And so I feel like you just can't compare that. And so I didn't know anything, and then like anxiety, like out the roof. So already, like not being in a pandemic, like life is so good, guys. It's so good.
Well, it doesn't get much worse than that. Oh man. All right. Well, let's jump into it. So, Glamour Farms as a member of the hub, I mean, has been around for a long time. And I know you've been with Glamour Farms for a long time. Talk to me about the relationship, how you came to meet Steph and Elizabeth. Like, how did all of this get started and you came to work at the company?
Yeah, so it's an interesting story. I know that a lot of small businesses can relate that everyone just kind of wears different hats and does different things. And so Glamour Farms has been around, I believe now, my math is so bad, guys. I'm not a mental math person. They didn't learn that at my time. I believe it's been 11 and a half years. And so whenever it was rolling, just getting kind of started, my dad, who is an entrepreneur, businessman, and teacher, he came and spoke with the leaders, the owners, and did some kind of like, I don't know, like just chat with them. And so I was just trolling along as a high schooler. And then fast forward just a few years, I was like, I've always had this entrepreneur hat. And I was like, you know what? I want to be a marketer for small businesses. And so God bless it, I went around to several businesses that summer before I started my internship with them. And I was like, here's who I am, and I would love to work for you. And, I got shot down so many times. It was such a humbling experience. And anyways, Glamour Farms, they saw the diamond in the rough. I'm going to call myself a diamond for a moment. They saw that I maybe had potential, and they said, all right, you can come work for us for the summer. And so that at the time, things were a lot different. We were still in the world of like organic post on Facebook. So like think way back, and things were good. And so anyways, I worked with them doing just different like email marketing. And I think at the time, maybe just like some graphics. And that's kind of where it rested at. It was like a 3-month internship. And then I went back to school. At that time, they weren't set up to do any kind of remote work at all. And then whenever I graduated college, I was like, I wanted to work corporate America. I was so excited. And then like shut down that real quickly. I realized corporate America is actually, if you love it, I'm so happy for you. But like, I'm not a cubicle girl. I thought I was. I really did. And I had the cubicle and I was like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. And so it was a total God thing. Keith, who is one of the owner's husbands. So Glamour Farms is owned by a mom and her 2 daughters, and Keith is one of the husbands, and he works full time with Glamour Farms, and he does a lot of the management of it. And so he called me and he basically said, you worked for us a few years ago. What is it going to take to get you to come to Glamour Farms? And little did he know that I was like crying in the parking lot every day during lunch. And so I was like, God, thank you so much. And so anyways, I stepped on with them, and I believe that would have been 2018, and everything just kind of like went really fast. That's one thing I love about Glamour Farms. It was hard for me in the beginning because I'm such a planner, is that things constantly change. And it was really, really hard for me, but it's really stretched me. And so my role just kind of has shifted around a lot over the years, from being the photographer to leading marketing. Then I had babies. And so then I kind of stepped back, and now I'm doing podcasting and some email and text message marketing. But yeah, it's been like a really like crazy, if anyone in the hub, I'm sure can understand, like you wear 10 different hats. And so you just have to be willing to do that. So that's kind of what it looks like for the last, I don't even know, 8-9 years of my life. But Glamour Farms is it's crazy how much they've grown alongside my own personal growth.
Oh man. And really, if I think about the hub's growth, they've been here since the very beginning, like back when the Boutique Hub was just like a free Facebook group 12 years ago. Like they were right in there. So it's amazing to see all the evolution. And to your point, like marketing is a little sporadic for a small business. Like you literally wear all the hats. And what's funny about retail versus even what we do at the hub, like podcasting is a huge part of what we do. And we have some different channels that aren't traditional channels in retail. So when I look at what you guys are doing and starting a retail podcast, that's a new angle, and it's something that sets you apart from everybody else. And you've been doing a great job. And how awesome is it that you can take that and like you can wear that hat versus the owners wearing yet another hat, because going live is such a big part of what they do. Like they're live 24/7, and I know burnout is real with going live. So talk to me about the beginning of the podcast journey. How did you decide, hey, we should do this? Let's try it out.
Yeah, I don't know how deep we're going to go in, but I do want to say that I don't think podcasting is for every single retailer. I think that's really important to know. If you listen, you're like, oh my goodness, Haley's saying to start your own web podcast. No, I'm not saying that, but I am saying that it is something you should consider. So for us, lives, if you have not tuned into Glamour Farms, it is a huge area. It is like the way that women find us and get to know us. And that is how they have that personal connection. And so for us, I noticed personally, coming out of 2020, 2021, this was 2022 is when the idea really I presented it to the owners, was I realized that people really crave community more than ever. I mean, women were coming in all the time just to watch our lives. Some, yes, to shop, obviously to support our business, but some women would just come in every day just to talk to us. And they still do that, which is an amazing thing. But what's crazy about that is it would end up being like, okay, girls, like we are chatting about life right now, which is so good. And then some people would be like, hey, but we want to see what clothes you're wearing. And so I was like, this is such like, there's room here for more long form communication. And so I am someone that on my report card would often say talks a lot in class. That was me. Okay. Raise your hand if you're there. Cause I can now say I made a living off that. So that's great. But the truth is that I knew that there was room for a lot of conversation, and I knew that also women needed these deeper levels. Like we just weren't reaching them. And our business, Glamour Farms, I say it's ours because it's a family. I'm not in that biological family, but we are a family. And, we really want to strengthen women in so many different areas. So the business is based on Proverbs 31:25. And so I felt like that God was really calling us to use this in a different ministry way than we had in the past. We had really focused on growing women to feel beautiful in their skin and what they were wearing and feeling confident. But I felt like even more than that, there is room for conversation to encourage and empower them in a long form. And so being that chatty person, I was like, I remember I sent a really late night text and I was like, I know we've never talked about this, but I really think we should have a podcast. I think this would be an amazing opportunity for our normal daily listeners on our lives to come and listen to our conversations, get to know us better, get to know our heart better, and deepen that kind of customer experience that we already were giving. And the owners were like, yeah, go for it. And so I had never picked up a podcast mic, had no idea, only had used Audacity, literally didn't know a thing. And it's crazy. We're now three now plus years later, over 100,000 downloads. And it's crazy the doors that have opened. And I know that's a God thing, but just because we just said, okay, let's just try it. And so it's crazy, how it's just grown over the last few years.
How would you say, so like 100,000 downloads is awesome. And like you said, the doors that have opened. So like, give me the like soup to nuts of, have you seen a financial difference? Have you noticed a difference in sales? Or what do you feel like the doors that have opened that have like made a significant impact on the business because of podcasting?
I will say, I think that the topics are what is so interesting to me. So we based our business, the business motto is often shared as faith, family, and fashion. And so those are the areas that we talk about. That's what the podcast covers. And so I will say, I originally going into this thought, we're going to need a lot of fashion conversation. That's what people are going to want. No, that was so shocking to me. Like that was not what people want. We still do get a lot of really good listens from that. And I will say when we hide a code or we share certain details about, like we have our biggest event of the year is our Black Saturday event in November. That gets so many downloads. But that was shockingly, that was such a turn for me that was not what people wanted to hear. Even when I would have fashion influencers on in the first season, those did not get good listens. And so I think that was actually something that really made me pivot and think, okay, where are these ladies? What do they want to hear about us? But as far as like an income stream, I think that people need to keep in mind, I don't think this is going to be the cornerstone of your business. But I do think it is a really, really important side stream to help funnel that relationship. So for me, whenever I follow someone, obviously, and I think anyone can think about it, when I get to know who they are, I'm like, oh yeah, girl, I'll support you. And I think that's all what the hub's about is like, we want to support people and we want to get people to know us. We know that we're not Amazon. We're aware of that. And that's what our strength. And so I think that this is just another layer of getting people to get to know you more on a deeper level. So when they compare one store to another, they can say, well, I support Stephanie and I love her because I hear that she struggled with this. And I don't mean that as like a marketing tactic, but I do think that anyone can want to relate to someone, and especially with things being so expensive now, when you spend your dollar, you want to know it's going to someone that I support. So I don't think you're going to necessarily, you might if you run certain, sales or codes and things like that, but also, pushing away from a sales model, I do think that you're going to just see a deeper relationship with your customers, which long-term, obviously pays off a lot more.
Yeah. I mean, it's all about staying top of mind. I think, there's just so much noise and everybody's in your inbox and they're in front of you in so many different ways, but this is such a unique way to stay top of mind. And like you said, whenever it's time, what is the stat? Like 93% of your audience isn't ready to buy something right now.
Yeah.
So when you think about, man, who's really ready to buy, that's a small market that I can capture with conversion marketing. But the 93% of people or whatever who aren't ready to buy, what do I do to serve them? And this is what's serving them and building that sense of community. And I think that's why live video is so important too.
Yeah.
Like obviously, the girls have built that at Glamour Farms. Live is their model, but I think every business owner should learn from that. Like live humanizes people and makes you memorable in the same way that podcasting does, right?
Yeah, it kind of actually makes me think of that book of jab, 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 right hook. Like you want to serve your customers, and then you want to, hey, buy this. And so I think if you are coming at them, I had heard it should be 80-20, like 80% of the time you are serving them and giving them, things that may fill them up. And then 20% you're asking them to buy. And I don't know that that's the same model for everybody, but I do think that if you're just constantly hitting people with things and you claim to be a personal brand, that is not going to work. If you're Dillard's or you're Kohl's and you don't have that relationship, I think that's fine. Like that works, but that's not what we're aiming to be.
Yeah, I totally agree. I look at it the same way. I think about it like a third,
Yeah.
brand content, engaging content, and then the sales content. But you got to have the first two.
Yeah.
Or you can right hook with a third, because I love Gary Vee. Totally agree with that. So now when you look at the podcast, how often are you launching episodes, and how are you selecting your guests and your content that you're planning out?
So we are on a season by season basis. I know some people do an ongoing thing, but I just felt like that, truthfully, it hasn't outlined. This is now my second baby that I've had while recording this. So I'm like, 2 of those leaves were when I was having a baby. So I really wasn't having a leave, but anyways, the other time I think we did plan one, close to fourth quarter, so that way I could prep for it. So anyways, whenever we're on a season basis, whenever the season starts, I normally try to keep to 20 to 25 episodes, and those come out weekly. I do think whenever you kind of just do, hit or miss, oh, here's one week, here's another week, I don't think you're going to have consistency. I think that's any part of marketing. Like we all know, like if you decide today feels like a good day to share, and then you don't do it again for another few days, you're not going to build a constant, stream of people who can trust you. My husband, I say, is like our most faithful listener. He is like 6 a.m. on the day an episode comes out. And if it doesn't post at that time, he's texting me after he gets to work and he's like, hey, on the drive-in, I couldn't listen to your episode. I don't know what went wrong with it. And so, but he's told me, like, there's been a few weeks that it didn't upload right. And he's like, I missed it this week. I'll have to go back. And I do think that is such a truth for people when you don't share consistently, or maybe it's even your live times, whatever you're doing in your business. If your people can't know when to depend on you, they're going to pull away. And so for us, it's weekly. And then we make a long launch about for the whole season. And then we do break. I normally break for about a month or two. And personally, it would be great if it was less than that. I do think that would help our numbers. But that just doesn't seem to be doable. Also, just the prep for each episode for our guest. It does take a lot of work to get them kind of on the routine and getting them on our calendar.
Yeah, it's a lot of moving pieces. It's not, I mean, we're blessed at the Hub because we have help. Like I can show up and just record, and we've got other girls that can do all the legwork, but it is a lot to get it all organized. So I totally agree with the season model. We use a season model here too, because it's just too much to keep going 24/7.
Okay, you've got to know about this. If you have thought about being a member of the Boutique Hub, or if you're already a member of the Boutique Hub, this year we added something that I just can't wait to get into your hands. Okay. So if you're a monthly member of the Hub, awesome. Glad to have you. It's a great experience. But we were like, people who are really serious about their business and growing it into the future, they don't just join the Hub monthly. They join for the whole year, because it takes more than a month to impact and make real lasting change in your business. So this year we have updated our annual offer for those of you who are our members or thinking about becoming a member and joining for the entire year. You want to hear about it? All right. If you're an annual member of the Hub, not only do you get access to everything the Hub has to offer, from all of the education, live training every single week, all of our exclusive discounts, resources, wholesale brands, all the things. But now, as an annual member of the Hub, you also have access to some of our very best-selling masterclasses and handbooks. That's right. I'm throwing all of these crazy things in for free if you are an annual member of the Boutique Hub. This includes our best-selling small business marketing handbook, which is over 100 pages of content calendars, live sale ideas, TikTok ideas, reel ideas, social media ideas for literally every day of the month, engagement questions for literally every month of the year, collections, event ideas to run in your brick and mortar, and so much more. The Small Business Marketing Handbook is a must-have for every type of retailer, no matter what you sell, I guarantee it. We're also throwing in our Small Business Hiring Handbook, which is all the things you know to hire, train, onboard, job descriptions, everything you need to know to grow a team, plus our Holiday Marketing Masterclass, our Content Sanity Masterclass, best of our Boutique Summit videos, and so much more. There's over $1,300 added in courses, masterclasses, and handbooks just for you. Plus, when you're an annual member of the Boutique Hub, you get access to join one-on-one coaching calls with myself and several members of our team. We don't give out an opportunity to do one-on-one coaching anywhere other than for our VIP students in Retail Bootcamp or those who are members of Boutique Hub Black. So this is a real opportunity for those of you who are a member of the Hub and you're like, hey, I just need to pick Ashley's brain for an hour. I need to pick Sarah's brain for an hour. What does that look like? You can book an annual coaching call if you are an annual member of the Hub. Did I say annual coaching call? I meant anytime. You can book a coaching call, only if you're an annual member of the Hub. So that's it. I'm excited. I'm rambling. I just want you to know, if you're going to join the Hub, this is the best opportunity to get the most out of your membership. If you're already a member, reach out to our team at happypeople@theboutiquehub.com. We can get you upgraded to annual. If you're not yet a member, scroll all the way down to the join page at theboutiquehub.com and click annual to join us now. I can't wait to see you inside and get you all of these extras. We're going to do a lot together to grow, scale, optimize, and secure your business together in the next year. Let's get started.
Let's talk about the nuts and bolts of how you do it. So we could compare, we can both kind of probably riff on this, but equipment that you use, how you record it, where you publish, all those fun things.
Yeah. So I honestly just did some Google searching. I really feel like, Google University. Hey, I have a bachelor's, but guys, I mean, you use a lot more Google nowadays. Things just update so fast with marketing and different techniques and things. So, I don't necessarily think I can share my specifics and I can write those out for you. But I think honestly, that should not be what decides what you do. So maybe we have the nice mic, but I don't think that really changes the game for us. So I would say, I know that you guys use Riverside. I have not found that to be as beneficial. I actually fun fact for y'all. Ashley and I tried to record this the other day and it did not work on my system. Maybe it's because I live in Timbuktu. I don't know why, but it does not work often for me. So
also, let me just add, not only did it not work for us, but I couldn't see Haley, so I didn't think she was there. And so I think I had like a jar of Pringles at my desk. So I was like,
good.
I was eating Pringles, like looking at my email, and Haley's like, I can see you. I'm like, oh.
I was like, Ashley, I'm like, I know you are. Like, I know, like I would snack. I love snacking. I'm all about the snacks, but I'm like, I don't think she knows I'm here. So, that's not Riverside's fault. Side note there, but I do think we use Zoom to record, and it's just worked really well for us. And then I do edit everything in Adobe, but that's because I'm an Adobe person and I love that. But I don't think you have to have that. I think you just need, if you're someone that you are like, hey, this is of interest to me for my business. We're really small. We can't afford stuff. Just start with the equipment that you have and go for it. And I do think you'll see some quality difference as far as like microphones goes, but I really don't think it's enough to not try it. So yeah, I think that's kind of where at least we kind of kick things off at.
Yeah. And we use, just kind of to add to that, is your mic a Rode mic?
No, it's Shure.
Sure. Okay. I've got a Rode mic and I don't know. Yeah, maybe it makes a difference, but also I recorded a whole season on this mic and got so many comments that people hated my sound. So who knows? Like maybe I just had it set up wrong, but we do have an editing company who helps. We record in Riverside, but we've also used Zencaster.
Oh, I've heard of that, yeah.
The reason we switched is back in the day when we used Zencaster, they didn't provide video. And we really wanted to use these episodes, clip them, into clips and then put them on YouTube. And Zencaster didn't have that opportunity yet, but they do now. So that's another good option. And then have you heard of this? Have you heard of, it's not for podcasting, but just a video editing app that's all AI, and I friggin' love it, but it's called Veed, Veed. No?
I haven't heard of that yet.
Okay, so I've been using that a bunch lately because a lot of my videos that I record in my office, I have this weird air vent up here that makes all this noise. And so I take all of them, I run them through Veed, and it will like edit everything. It'll edit the look of everything, and it's all AI, so it does everything instantly. So that's been a really cool app. It'll chop it into little pieces and do so many things for you. So kind of a time saver.
Yeah, work smarter, not harder. We're all about that.
Absolutely. All right, how about this? So in marketing, I mean, everything for us on our marketing team is very goal and metric driven. Mm-hmm. Like we've got scorecards, like everyone kind of has metrics that they own. How do you set this for the podcast, but then also for the rest of your marketing duties? What are the metrics that you're looking at? What's the scorecard that you're kind of holding yourself and your team accountable to?
Well, the team is me. So, so I really keep, close ties chip on me. But no, I think first of all, if it is just you, I think that it's good to have goals, because if not, what are we going for? And I'm all about goal setting. So I think for me, we just, when we're recording this, we recently hit 100,000 downloads. That had been a goal of mine for not necessarily like a penciled in goal, but it was something like that was like something I really wanted to achieve. And I told myself, let's do it sometime this year. I didn't put a number on it because I was like, I'm having a baby, like, be realistic. And so then whenever we hit it early, I was like, wow, it feels so good. Okay, maybe I need to expect more out of myself. And so anyways, I really think that it is hard because a lot of it is gaining traction in the beginning. And so I do think, if you can try to get some kind of consistent number basis, I think that, and then just slowly inching up, that's great. But if I go back to, if I'm listening and I'm someone who's just in my beginning, like, what do I expect out of this? I would just honestly, the biggest thing I would say is just you being consistent, and then continuing to recycle that content so you can keep getting those listens. I think that is something that we are working on. And by we, I mean myself. I am trying to get better about the work that I've already done to contribute to the stats I already have. So I might mostly just look at the downloads that we have. And I don't really feel like that I would love if someone could tell me, but I don't really feel like there is a good breakdown of like a customer listening. Like when you go into different analytic forms, they can tell you so much about your client and so much about your customer experience. But when it comes to podcasting, I feel like we have just barely tapped in. It's like you live in the US. That's about as far as we get. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it's so wide open. Absolutely.
It is so hard. So I do think like that is just hard enough itself. So I'm just trying to grow and make sure that I am consistently building up because I don't want to be, on a downswing. But I do check the numbers on episode by episode. And that is kind of also how we've kind of filed out what episodes we aren't going to listen to anymore. I mean, we're not going to reach out to those guests. I will say if you're someone that you're trying to get those outside guest stars in, which I know you kind of asked about that earlier, but if you're trying to do that, having those numbers, I do think is what gets you those better, quote, better, higher name people. Yeah. Because I do think as far as podcasts go, we do have a lot of downloads, but I still have had PR agents be like, yeah, it started with, thank you so much for reaching out. We'd love to have you. And then they say, can you send over your podcast stats? And I send them over and they're like, okay, never mind. I'm like, okay. Alrighty. Which is totally fine. Everybody, there's only so much time in the day. So I get that. But I do think if you are trying to get names, that is something that you are going to want to make sure that you are looking at that download number. So that way you can share that and use that as a way to get more guests.
Yeah, that is a huge piece of it. But you know what? Sometimes I just think it's not what you know, it's who you know. And
yeah.
Yes, I've been on a few podcasts where people will say like, hey, Ashley, one goal of mine that I'm really working on this year is to get on blah, blah, blah number of podcasts with this type of reach. Is there anybody who that would be a great fit for me? Would you be willing to do an introduction? And it's amazing how many, guests that's led me to that are kind of like higher named people. But I can tell already just talking to you, something you're really good at, I bet, is the art of the follow-up. Like, I bet you are constantly asking and constantly following up. And that's a huge piece of it as well.
I feel like I'm a prompt person. Maybe that's like not a great thing. Not a good thing. Who knows? I'm hoping the Lord stretches me after baby number 3. Maybe I'll be a little chill. But I do think that that is one thing I have noticed that people say that is different about our podcast when I have, so basically I keep saying it's a God thing, but it really is. I've got connected with a lot of different PR agents in different realms. I don't even really know how they got my email. It's just started with, hey, you have this show. My email is not even listed on our podcast. So I genuinely don't know how. And they've connected me to different artists or different authors. And then it's kind of gone through that way. But all of that to say is when those people come on our show, they always are like, thank you for doing this. Or like, you sound a lot more professional than I expected. And I'm also like, not to be like, you aren't good, but like, this is not the norm. Like people ask, like they don't check in. They don't do their research. Like I've had a lot of authors be like, nobody really has read my book before they get on. I can tell you actually know. And so I think that like, it's just like any kind of journalism. Like if you are actually going to have someone on your show, you need to know what they're talking about. And so I do think that people notice that. And then that goes back to their PR agent and says, hey, she actually knows her stuff. Like, I think that was a great episode,
Yeah, it's so true. I've gotten on podcasts before where people have just like totally butchered my name and then just rolled on to it. Like, hey, Ashley Anderson, good to see you. And I'm like, it's nice try. Like I get Anderson all the time, but
yeah,
it doesn't work like that. So if you had any like best advice, if someone was weighing like, okay, is podcasting for me? Or maybe I have this other like piece of my lifestyle brand and I've been considering it. Like, what's your best advice in terms of should I start and where do I start?
I think it always goes back to when it comes to marketing is just who are you talking to and who are you trying to reach? So for us, it makes the most sense because our listeners are people who are ages probably 25 to 55 mostly. And these are people who know how, and I don't mean to sound bad about this, but they know, roughly how to work their phone and they know how to find the podcast app. If you have an older demographic, that is not going to be your realm. And I'm not hating on that, but it is very hard for them if that's who you're listening to. Okay. Like that's just that out there. You're not going to market for me in a newspaper anymore. I haven't seen a newspaper in 10 years. So yeah. I think that that's a really first thing. Second is, do I have enough content to even talk about? Like I know people who like think, oh, it's a good idea, but then I've got 2 episodes and then I literally have nothing else that I would care to talk about or no other guests that I would care to have on. Yeah. And so I think for us, because we already had built the brand of faith, family, and fashion, it was easy for those columns to just kind of like, all right, let's just go down through that. And also I feel very passionate about each of those areas. So I felt like there was a lot to share. So I think figuring out if you are just getting started in your business, I'm not sure that I would advise that yet. I would really get to know who you are, who your customers are first. And then maybe even see like if you get on lives, if people are interested, if people do want to connect. I think that because like I had said, that was the natural progression for us. As far as like just getting started, I always say just shoot your shot because I think that is so much about it. You talk about like connections. There are so many times that I've reached out to people that was really just a shot in the dark and it really had worked and people reach out and you get connected and you're like, by golly, nobody else tried that. I don't even know why they did it. And so I think just like knowing like you're going to get, like I did as an intern, like you're going to get shut down a lot of times. But you got to get right back up. And I think that is such an entrepreneurial spirit. And so I think you all probably already have that. So what's another area to get knocked down and get right back up again? I mean, like, come on.
I love that you just said, by golly. I mean, why not? By golly, why not? You might as well just go for it. I totally agree. I mean, you might as well try it. And if it doesn't work, well, lessons learned. Yeah. Lessons learned and you can keep going. All right. So other quick questions when it comes just to marketing in general, because time has flown by. I can't believe how long we've already been recording this because this is all such good information. Best advice just for others who are listening who have a marketing manager or are a marketing manager in terms of just defining daily duties and defining success in your role. What advice would you give them?
Daily duties and success. Well, I am a planner. And so I do think if you don't have any kind of goal setting going on, I think you're going to have some major issues. So I think for me, I would definitely look at what's my big picture. Is there a dollar amount I'm trying to hit or an amount of product I'm trying to move or a hire that I'm trying to make enough so I can do this? What is my goal? And then break it down monthly. How am I going to do that? Break it down quarterly. And I know that if you're someone that you're like, yeah, that's not who I am. It just does not who it. I would really challenge you to maybe try to become that a little bit. I don't think you have to be this list-oriented person. That is something that I love to do. But I go back to if you're not on the same goal as even yourself or your team, they're not going to keep hitting those goals. So I think just constantly, having a goal in mind and then going back and revisiting it every time you make a decision, like, is this match the goal that I have? And then also, like I've said before, like this idea of constantly pivoting is so big and just also being okay to admit like that just didn't work and just, it's okay. Like it's embarrassing, but I think once you have enough of those, I think you're like, that's just the world it is. And I think any successful business owner could tell you that they made a lot of mistakes. And the only reason why they're successful, maybe not the only reason, but one of the big ones is that they just kept getting back into it. So I think you're going to have marketing, you're going to do marketing campaigns, or you're going to do an idea. Maybe you'll launch a YouTube channel and it doesn't work. And then you just need to figure out what does work.
Yeah, I love all of that. And I have to echo kind of the tough love that you gave, because if you're planning to use marketing to grow your business, but there's not a goal and there's not a schedule, and you don't know how much traffic it takes to meet your sales goal for that, that day or that week or that month, then you're really missing the mark. And I dare say, like, what are you doing? Yeah. If that is not you, then you need to find somebody to be your right-hand person who that is them. And I'm sure you can speak to this, like, and even, with the full team of ownership at Glamour Farms and even here at the Hub, I'm a big ideas person, but I need two people right next to me that are like the doers. Like, hey, here's Ashley's wild squirrel. They're going to get it done, and then they're going to measure the success and come back and report on the numbers, and then we're going to keep running. And even if you're a small business, that might be you and one other person, but one of you is right brain, one of you is left brain, so that you can have the accountability, you can have the plan, you can have the goals, because when you aim at nothing, you hit it every time.
Yeah. I think that there's so much to unpack, but I do think, like you said, I think people often say, well, that's just not my personality. And I think that you have to be challenged in that. And truthfully, sometimes you just have to take your personal opinion out of it. Like the numbers speak. And if it doesn't work, if it's not working the way that you're doing, or maybe it's not working as well as it could, that's the incident for the podcast. I could have said, well, I only want to talk about this. All of you just need to listen. And it's like, okay, well, that didn't work. So what are you looking like now? So I think it's just kind of being humble enough to be like, I was wrong and this didn't work. Let's pivot.
Yeah. Oh, it's so good. Absolutely. All right. If you could give any marketing manager or an owner who has a marketing manager thinking about getting one piece of advice on terms of what do I work on daily that is income generating activity? Where do you focus?
Generating activity.
Where do you focus first?
Ooh, I think twofold. First is look inward, look at your employees, because I think burnout's real, and I think we're all really having a hard time right now. And I think encouraging your employees to see how you can help them, because I think when you do that, and then they're going to be stronger, and they're not gonna leave, and then it's going to keep growing your own business. I think that's one part of it, and then I think it's show up on the days that you don't want to. I love Jesus with my whole heart, but I tell my kids, we serve every single Sunday because that's what we're called to do. There are a lot of Sundays I don't want to go in, and I don't want to wrangle middle school students who tell me really weird jokes, but I love them so much. And so I think showing up and serving, because I've signed that is what I'm called to do. Yeah. I don't think we're called to business in the same aspect, but I do think that when you've signed up to whatever that account is, whatever that goal you have, you just, even on the days you don't want to put hair and makeup on, you just get ready and you go do it.
Oh man, so good. So much truth to that. Oh gosh. All right, Haley, I have one last question for you. And it's kind of the big question I have for everybody on the show. And I think you and I are so aligned in this. But at the end of the day, fast forward, let's say 30 years down the road, and you've got these awesome kids. Hey, maybe you have 4 or 5 by now. Who knows? Who knows what path they're on? But maybe you've got grandkids, whatever it may be. But you're looking back with your family at the life you lived, at your time at Glamour Farms, at the lives that you were able to impact along the way. What's the thing that you really want people to remember most about you, the person you are, and the life that you lived?
Oh, that's a good one. So not to get too deep, but actually the day that the idea of the podcast came to me, was the morning that we found out we were miscarrying our daughter. And so it is kind of like a surreal thing always when I talk about the start of it, because it was like God gave me that idea when I didn't even know what I was going to have. And then it was such a healing journey for me to get to communicate with women. So I think for me, since having that loss of a daughter, it just has changed my perspective on wanting to make the most of every day of my life. And I just hope in 50, 30, whatever years from now, I don't even know what day it is. I hope in 10 days, I hope people look and they can say, and I can look at myself and say that I made the most of it, and I didn't let the small things get to me, and that they could see Jesus in me. Honestly, I don't care what we have. I don't care if we live in a small house. I want to be content. And I think that's a really hard goal, but it's a good one.
That's a good goal. That is life worth living right there. Amen to all of the things that you said. And I mean, what a touching story on top of it. Kudos to you thank you for sharing that. That's pretty incredible. Well, Haley, this is awesome. Thank you so much for sharing your heart and your wisdom. For those of you who are listening, if you haven't followed the entire team at Glamour Farms, please do. And Haley, you were so gracious. You brought everybody, if you want to place an order at glamourfarms.com, it's first order 30, which is pretty awesome. Yes.
And I will say, we have our free app. It's the best and easiest way to shop. So I would actually encourage you to download that app first and then use that code first order 30.
Yes. And those of you who are listening that are new to, let's say, live sales, you want to see somebody who's been in business a long time, a team that does amazing work. These are some of my very favorite people in the industry. So kudos to you. Kudos to your entire team. I know the team is busy, probably live somewhere right now. Yes. So thank you for being here today, Haley. We appreciate you.
Thank you. And we'll see you later.
Thanks for listening, guys. I hope you took away all kinds of nuggets and new ideas from this week's episode. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a rating and review. We love to hear your feedback and give you a chance to be featured on the show each and every week. For more information on our spirit of community over competition and to access guest downloads and bonuses and all the resources we talked about on the show, head on over to theboutiquehub.com and join the community. We'll see you next week.